Hello, my name is Nathaniel Silva, and this is my linguistic profile called Ways of the Words. First off is code switching. Code switching is the action of switching between two different languages in any given conversation. In my life, I code switch between standard English and Spanish daily. This is especially true when I'm in my hometown. Everywhere you go, you'll meet someone that barely speaks any English, and switching to Spanish is your only option. In my hometown, you should be ready to speak just nothing but Spanish when you go out. It should be your first instinct. At home, I code switch as well. When I talk to my family, the one I live with, which is my grandmother, my mother, and my sister, I'll speak pure Spanish to my grandmother. But as soon as either my mom or my sister walk in the room, it's back to English. Even though my grandmother completely understands English and can talk to me in English. Next is code mixing. Code mixing ties into code switching, but it shouldn't be confused. Code mixing is when two languages are blended together to form a new dialect, a new way of speaking. This is very heavily used in our Latino ghetto communities, where it's developing into sort of a problem. It is used when they speak as well as when they write, and but not to say that it's not used by everyone. Everyone uses code switching, which is Spanglish or Tex-Mex where I'm from. I've heard it be used to make certain things funnier than what they would be in one language or to get a point across. A small example that is very heavily used is "What's up, Way?" Way translates to bro or man in English, but Spanish is mixed in to get a little bit of flair, a little bit of attitude to what you're saying. Language shift would tie into my grandmother perfectly. She is a perfect example of language shift. When she first came to America from Tamaulipas, Mexico, she knew no English at all. As the years progressed, and as school required very little English for her to continue, she learned English on her own. Since it was never emphasized and her father never spoke it as well, she taught herself and she assimilated herself into English to get where she needed to be and get what she wanted. She now completely understands English. She can speak it fairly well with a lot of broken English, but she can speak it and you can understand her. And she can somewhat write it, but she prefers not to. One thing she does love as she assimilated is she loves to make jokes in English, since she has a very broken, very heavy accent when she talks in a different language. Crossing. Crossing is when a person unwelcome to a certain form of speaking uses that form of speaking, aka when a white man uses African American vernacular. And for this example, it's the same thing. Back home, we use African American vernacular just as much as we use Tex-Mex or Spanish. It's more prevalent in younger people. Um, we use this when none of us are predominantly black. My hometown has learned to love black culture and picked up some of its slangs and pronunciations. I'm guilty of this too, because I love using this vernacular. Even to go so far as to use the racial slur, the N word, the same way as African Americans use it within themselves. Which, to further reiterate, I use it as a way to call my friends my best friends instead of meaning it in any bad connotation. Finally, is Latino English, and this one saddens me because all that is said about this is very true. From the multiple negotiations to the zero copula, all of it I've heard. I've heard all of it at once. It sounds very uneducated and very um how do you say, just wrong and or broken. You can find this used a lot in workplaces where they build houses or pools or buildings. In a lot of blue collar jobs, you'll find this in a lot of uneducated people that live off of welfare or don't have jobs. They will use Latino English, but not to say that that's the only people that use it, because I've used it, but I grew out of it when I learned to use English more often than I used Spanish. Thank you. That's all for my linguistic profile. Have a good day.